Hello and welcome to your Advanced Leadership webinar. My name is Jared Krebs. I'm pictured here with my wife, Crystal. We're Emerald Directors, and we are super excited for you to learn from our special guest today, one-star diamond, John Goerlitz. Brand new one-star diamond, by the way, and we are super excited to hear his story. And before we get into our advanced call, I just want to remind you of 10 things to expect when you're building your business. Number one, there's going to be ups and downs. That's just how it is. It's the emotional roller coaster. So the more even keel you can be, the better. I don't get too excited when things are good. I don't get too sad when things are down. I stay as even as possible. Number two, there's success or failure is up to you. If you're successful, it's going to be because of you, not your upline. If you fail, it's because of you, not your upline. You are the person who makes that decision. Number three, the goal is for you to become independent as quickly as possible. Be that leader for your team. Next is plan, do, review, and then adjust. Make your plan on Sundays. Do it, review it, and make adjustments every week. It's going to take time. It's going to take a year to become competent. It's going to take 3 years to create a significant part-time income. It's going to take 5 years to become a significant earner, and it's going to take 7 years to become world-class. Number six, it takes consistent work and hustle. It's a game of focus and just staying consistent. Can't miss, no missed days, no missed weeks. Number seven, you're going to have to grow and get outside of your comfort zone. That's just how it is. Number eight, mental toughness is necessary through the ups and downs of any business. And number nine, the grass is not greener in other companies. Sometimes people see that. I've seen people leave USANA and never make the same amount that they were making in USANA. The grass is not greener in other companies. And number 10, the reason why is because this is a long-term game. USANA is 25 years strong with over $2.5 billion paid to its associates. I'm actually in my 13th year with USANA, and thank goodness that I've had it for this long. I've talked to other people whose companies actually went out of business. But with USANA, we have something that's long-term and here to stay. And always remember that amateurs sell products, but professionals sell the vision. Make sure that you're sharing these webinars with your customers, your clients, and letting them see the potential of what USANA can do for their lifestyle. And very few have done it as well as Mr. John Goerlitz, who's been with USANA, and he's in his 14th year. He's a one-star diamond, brand new one-star diamond out of Los Angeles, California. He's pictured here with his beautiful wife and 2 beautiful children. And I've been watching John throughout the years grow his business. I know he went diamond, I think about 2 years ago, and we all celebrated that. He's one of the fastest growing associates in the United States market. So I hope you're ready to take notes and learn from Mr. John Goerlitz. John, thank you for being on this webinar. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to be with us. And the floor is yours. We want to hear your story.
Hey, Jared, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Before I get started, Jared, I just want to congratulate your success and your team's success. And it's awesome to see you on the weekly reports. The report that just came out, you were a top sponsor and a top income earner. And I just think that's you guys are moving and shaking. So that's awesome. So
thank you so much.
So yeah, I'll give a little background. I've been in USANA for 14 years, and my story started in 2004 when a friend of mine, Simon Chan, introduced me to USANA. Jared, did the people on the call know about Simon at all?
I'm sorry, I was muted. Some of them do. Most of them do, yeah. He's a top trainer. In fact, he was a guest on our call a couple weeks ago. So, yeah, most people do.
Oh, okay, good. So, yeah, he's a 3-star diamond director, retired. But, back then we worked at the National Basketball Association together. I was a finance manager, and I did the finances for his department. So that's how we got to know each other. And back then it was like the perfect storm where I knew someone who was doing USANA, and it was the right time for me to take advantage of an opportunity. I was in corporate America for 10 years, and at the NBA, I worked about 50 to 55 hours a week. And it was one of those things that being a finance manager, I was high enough that I couldn't tell them that I was doing something else, because I did a lot of part-time jobs, because the job, it wasn't a six-figure income. And, I lived in New York City. So you can imagine how expensive New York City is. And, I always wanted to get ahead. So I had to pay, at the time, I had to pay off school loans. I had to pay off credit card debt. So I had secondary jobs through most of my corporate America years. Now at the MBA, since I was a finance manager, I couldn't let them know I had a part-time job. So I chose this job counting inventory for a company called Regis. And it's probably one of the worst jobs I ever had. It was so boring, but I did it for months because I wanted to get ahead. And that's the only, at that time, that's the only thing I knew to make extra money was to work more. So I would come home from my job at the MBA at like 6, 7 o'clock, eat dinner, get dressed in my uniform, go out when the stores closed, 9 o'clock at night. I would start work and I would work till 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, get right back up early in the morning and go to my job at the MBA. So when I looked at USANA, it was a godsend. It solved everything for me. I could see how I could make more than $9 an hour. Wow, a business where I could work from home. I don't have to commute, and a business that I can make income to help reduce my debt. So, it was interesting. Simon left the MBA to become a sports agent in Los Angeles, and he was building this USANA business. So I was so curious, like, why would someone who's a sports agent for players on the Los Angeles Clippers do a USANA business? I came out to California for the first time, met with them, got to see the company and the products, and I knew right away. I was like, wow, this is a great opportunity. And as you can imagine, working a part-time job and a full-time job, I was just so tired. I needed to do something else. And at the time, I was looking at 2004. Yeah, I was looking at back then eBay. How to make money on eBay. I was looking at how to make money with vending machines, and I really didn't know what I was doing. So I needed someone to really guide me, and Simon was the guy. But even though I knew USANA was awesome, it still took me 2 months to join the business. And I think that sometimes you just need someone to push you a little bit. And little did I know at the time, he was new. And he wasn't even a silver director. I don't even know if he was a director, but when I was talking to him, and looking back on it, I learned that you don't have to be a gold and above to do great in the business, especially starting out. It's just your confidence and asking people to take action. And one day he called me and he said, John, do you see how USANA could help you reduce your debt, help pay off your student loans and help pay off your credit cards? And I said, yeah, I can see that. He said, do you see yourself working a USANA business? And I said, yeah, I do. So then he said, so when do you want to get started on reducing all your debt? And I said, well, I guess right now. and I enrolled in the company. So that's one of the things I learned early on. You got to ask. And a lot of prospects are just not going to say, hey, let's just get started. You got to push them a little bit. And, so I got started 2004, and it wasn't, let me just tell you, it might sound weird because I'm one star right now, but I had no skills in this business. I didn't, I was going on the fact that Simon was going to be my mentor and he was going to show me how to do this business. And USANA was a great company. And most importantly, the products I believed in wholeheartedly. I would say in the first 30 weeks, I made 6 checks. Didn't make a whole lot of money. I think I sponsored one person, a couple customers. Some of those checks my upline helped me make just so I could stay motivated in the business. But I Well, speaking of motivation, I'm pretty self-motivated. So it was just a constant adventure in developing. And, you know, I like show and tell here. I want to show you guys this picture right here. This was taken before smartphones. I'm feeling kind of old. This is me prospecting while working. And so that's my prospecting list right here. And that was Simon taking a picture. I would always hide in the stairwell across the street from my job at the NBA. And that's the commitment that I put in order to build the business and to get better. You know, there are times that I felt like I wanted to quit, but you know, my upline, Simon, constantly motivated me and said, you know, you're gaining the skills. It's going to happen for you. And I think the turning point for me was going to the USANA convention, my first one in 2004. I just learned, so I needed to see other entrepreneurs building USANA, and I needed to see the manufacturing facility, and I needed to meet the scientists and some of my team. And I realized that even though I had belief in USANA and the products, I think maybe subconsciously I didn't have the full belief and in myself. And I want to show you this, more of my show and tell. You know, my first convention, I keep everything. My first convention, I was an achiever. So I had a lot of things to learn. And when I came home, that's why I always encourage people who just joined USANA for the first time, you have to go to convention. If it wasn't for that first convention, I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't be a one-star. I wouldn't be working USANA full-time. When I got back, it's like something inside of me just clicked, and it all came together. All the calls I was making over the previous months, all the contacts I was making, help me help my skills, where I was a lot more confident. And going back to asking people to join my business, I was a lot more confident in doing so. So I remember 2 weeks coming back from my first convention, I sponsored 3 people in 2 days. Now, back then we had what was called a professional package, which was a $1,400 package. So I was so confident, I didn't even get people to join with one business center. I just went all out with the best package. So I sponsored two internet leads at the time, and then 1 warm market for 3,000 points, and became a director. This was 2 weeks after coming back from convention. And I pretty much just took off from there. You know, I really worked hard on myself, and I'm still developing. And I think I proved that you don't have to be this gold and above to do great in USANA. You just got to be consistent and believe in yourself and believe in USANA and the products, and show the excitement when you're telling people about USANA products. So I would say in 2004, the last 3 months, I made about $3 grand, and things were rolling. And going into 2005, I was able to become a top 100 associate sponsor. Now, back then, just to let you guys know more background, I joined the Robert Allen team. You know, Robert Allen's not around anymore. So our team emphasized sponsoring both warm market and internet leads. And, you know, back then leads cost money. I mean, I don't buy leads anymore, but back then leads were anywhere from $1 to $4. Companies like Cutting Edge Media, Fresh Interview Leads, stuff like that. And, you know, I acquired some good skills calling cold leads, and I acquired some good skills calling warm leads. But back then, Oh, 1 second. Hold on a second. Yeah, I just want to tell you back then, when I was calling leads, I had to find out in my schedule, the nooks and crannies of my schedule to try to, um, make contacts. Because when I got home at night, I was tired. I had to go to my second job. So I'm going to show you this picture right here. That's me working at the NBA. It's funny, I had a hat on and jeans. It's almost like I was begging to get into a home business. But after I would work a little bit, I'd take a 15-minute break and I'd go outside into that hallway I told you about, and I would call leads. And I think the most important thing that I would do is keep in contact with my upline to tell them what I was doing good and what I could improve on. So I would say in the first, and you know, that slide, Jared, it's so true. That first year, you're really trying to learn the business. And if my recommendation is be realistic with your expectations. You know, I always compared it to my part-time jobs where I was only making $8 an hour, and I knew what this business could give me. And at the time, I just wanted to make part-time income, but it turned into so much more. Once you start building your team and your customer base, it starts to build exponentially. And in 2006 was my third year of USANA. I became a silver director, and things were going well enough where I wanted to quit my job. But at the time, it was still a huge risk. I wasn't making the money in USANA that was matching my MBA income, but I had a lot of good things going on. I had a lot of prospects, a lot of prospects in my pipeline. My team was performing really well. And also my sponsor, Simon, he had a dream of building in Asia. And in 2007, Malaysia was going to open. And he got a condo in Kuala Lumpur. And he said, any associate who wants to come and build, they can experience a new market. So I was very interested in that because I've always wanted to travel. You know, back in college, I wanted to travel, but I just didn't have the money. I wanted to study abroad. And it was always a dream of mine to leave the US and I know it's cliche, but travel the world. And this was my opportunity. So looking at all those things, I put in my notice. And, you know, it's interesting. I got a lot of negative feedback back then. How could you leave your job? You have all these perks with the NBA. It's the NBA. You know, you have your pension, you have your 401k. Like, are you sure you know what you're doing? And I knew what I had in USANA, and you know, that's why when I quit, I got on a plane 2 weeks later and flew to Malaysia. I knew what I had in this company and these products. So before I flew out, my mind was already thinking full-time USANA. I was still at the NBA, but I was calling Malaysia leads at like 1 a.m, 2 a.m, trying to set up my pipeline for when I got there. I became a gold director 1 month after I quit my job. And then after that, you know, things went pretty well in Malaysia. And I felt like I became a Jedi in network marketing, you know. And when Philippines opened in 2009, I went there and I built there and I lived there. I probably lived in Asia for 2 years. So I had to manage my US business, and I did that through Skype. And I would visit home frequently, and then I would build my international business. And then I kind of really just took off from there. You know, I was doing a calculation before. If I still stayed at the NBA with 3% raises, throw in one promotion, I probably would have just hit six-figure income this year. Where at USANA, I did it shortly after I quit my job. So sometimes you just need to believe in yourself, and you can't listen to the negative people because they don't know what you have. This is a tremendous company, tremendous products, and I'm just so thankful that Simon introduced me, and I had the courage to sign up and to go forward. And there were believe me, there were some times that I wanted to quit, but when you think that, you have to talk to your upline, and then shortly after take action, because there's always good things waiting for you. And any time that it ever happened to me, it seems like I would sponsor someone, or I would gain a customer. So it's important, and and that's why, having these calls every Wednesday is awesome. Really, it brings you guys together, and you can work together as a team. So let me just fast forward a little bit, because I know people have, they ask me about customer enrollments. When I first joined my team, we were 100% recruiting. And many years ago, I realized how important customers were. I started working on customers probably back in 2007 and 8. There was a brief time I lived in Ohio, and during that time, we recruited doctors, trainers, physical therapists, and I built a huge list for my email marketing. I think one of the things I'm really happy with the USANA is they're moving more towards being customer focused, which I think is the way to go. We have so many tools. I tell new people we have so many tools today. Like we have with Dr. Oz, we've got athletes, all the athletes that we sponsor. We have the Communication Edge. You've got all the nice videos and flyers. There's just so much that people can take a hold of and take off. When I first started in 2004, we didn't have all this stuff. We had teleconference calls. I'm feeling old again. And back then, you remember when phones had the phone plan where before 9 o'clock, it would eat into your minutes. So I would call a prospect on my home phone and get them on the teleconference call. And then my home phone was about to die. And then I would have to call them back. And miraculously, I got them back on the phone, on my cell phone. And then I would do a 3-way call with my upline. So, if I could build a business in that way, it's just so much easier to build a business today with all the tools that we have. So anyway, I want to stop right here, Jared, just for a little bit and see if anyone has any questions thus far. And I could share more of my experience depending on what you guys are interested in.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, John. I love your story, man. I love your story about quitting your job to go to Malaysia and believing in yourself and getting to your first convention. I mean, these are like such huge benchmarks in your development. And I know everyone on this call is in a certain level or time in their evolution with their business. And so now's your chance to ask John Goerlitz a question. Let's see. I think we have a comment here in the chat. What do we have here? Oh, Denise Garcia, love it. Truly inspiring.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Do you have any questions? Denise Garcia, Adriana Perez, Crystal Krebs, Jared Harris, Pippa Mo Ryan, Phyllis Walker, Randy Krebs, Sally Passine, Tim Cloud, Viola Krebs, Becky Armstrong. Who has a question? Okay, we got one typed in here. Pippa asks, what was it like when you did your first international recruiting?
When I sponsored my first person? Well, I tell you, I think one of the keys was calling people from the U.S. and setting things up. I sent a lot of emails I talked to a lot of people. So when I got there, I had things to do. It wasn't like I was just sitting around. I got to Malaysia, settled in as quickly as possible, and then I called these people saying, I'm here. Do you want to meet? And Simon did a great job in setting up the office. The office, it was a condo, and the office had all these desks, and it had a presentation area, and there were no beds or anything. We slept on air beds. We deflated them and put them in the closet, and then we were ready for business because it was busy. And so I had these people come to our condo to meet, and we had, I'm sure you've heard of social proof, where we would have like 20 or so people listening to a presentation. And then afterwards, I would have the forms, and I would see if people would want to join. So my first enrollments happen in that way.
Awesome. Thank you, John. We have another question from Tim Cloud in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm going to unmute you, Tim.
Is Philippines market still a good market? Yes, it is. I feel it's one of the best markets out there. Here in California, there's a lot of Filipinos, and I talk to a lot of Filipinos here who love USANA products. And it seems like, it's interesting because sometimes, like for my cell phone company, I had to call Verizon. I talked to a Filipino and found out she knows about USANA. It seems like a lot of people know about USANA there, and there's still plenty of room for a lot of growth.
Awesome. Yeah, I know Tim has his fiance lives in the Philippines, so he's going to start his business here in the U.S. and then get his fiance started out there. So it's going to be pretty exciting.
Oh, where does she live, by the way?
Tim, can you type that in, or do you want me to unmute you?
I'm just wondering because I might have been there.
Oh, I think
Dipolog.
What was it?
Dipolog.
Dipolog. Oh, okay. I haven't heard of that city.
It's in Mindanao.
Is that in the northern part of Philippines or in the middle? Is that in Visayas or near Manila?
Southern.
Oh, okay, like Mindanao.
Correct. Yes.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I know there's big teams down there in Mindanao. There's Davao City.
Cool.
Yeah, that's on the other side of Mindanao. This is probably closer to Cebu.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was building a team in Bohol, which was right near Cebu. And I remember, I didn't visit Cebu, but I could see the skyline from Bohol.
Awesome. Last question is from Denise Garcia. What approach did you use when recruiting associates?
So, one of the things, so I've kind of changed my approach. My approach has changed over the years, and I like to approach them with USANA products. I've done this business in different ways where I approach them with the business first. And what I started to find is people that I approached with the business first, if they weren't making money right away, they would kind of lose some motivation but now when I approach people with the products, they love the products so much, they stay in the business for a very long time. I have friends that have been with me for many years, 200-point auto ship, and they're doing well because they believe in the company and the product so much. They give themselves a chance to develop like I did. And they're all pretty proficient associates. They're silver directors. So they have good businesses. So I would, when I sit down with someone or if I talk to them on the phone, I'm sharing my story about the products. And I take the products every day. I have great testimonials with the Essentials and the Pure Rest and the Nutri-Meals. So I'm a walking testimonial, and I'll share just depending on how they want it. I'll share either print or videos and emails. I like to lead with Dr. Oz, which is so cool. And then from there, when I get them on the products, I follow up to see their experience. And if they're really excited about it, that's when we talk about business, which for me is a little easier that way.
That is such a smart way to build your business. I know Denise asks that because Denise has built so many good clients, and she is wanting to grow more associates. But Denise, I just want to say also publicly how proud I am of all these clients you've been enrolling, and some of them will sprout.
Yeah, I think the key there is the follow-up, where you're asking them, how's your experience on the products? If it's weight loss products, how much have you lost so far? What's been your experience on the Cell Essentials? And people will tell you, some people will be really excited, and those are the ones that you want to say, well, have you ever thought about getting your products for free? There's USANA compensates you for referring people, or have you ever thought about doing this part-time, and just presenting that to them as an opportunity. And they'll ask you, well, how does that work? And that's when you meet with them. And that's when you get your upline involved, and you all talk about how the business can work for them.
Thank you so much, John. This has been such amazing tips. I just got a ton from what you just said, leading with a product video and with Dr. Oz, and then upgrading them into associates. I think that is a smart way to build. And first of all, go ahead.
Oh, by the way, I don't know how many people use the True Health Assessment, but that's I use it all the time. That's my in for people. If we're talking about health, I say, hey, I just so happen I have a health assessment that you could take. It's only 15 minutes, and it'll spit out some reports that will tell you where you are with your health, and some recommendations, some lifestyle recommendations. And, it's awesome. I'll get their email, and I can follow up because I could see that, they filled out the form, and then I'll follow back up with them about their results, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, it's such a cool tool. I'm glad USANA keeps up with that and enhances that tool.
So is that your main thing you do even before a video, is get them to do the True Health Assessment?
Well, that's one of my things to get them to look at information.
Okay.
So if I'm not talking about USANA right away, maybe it's someone that the conversation is just not going that way, but we're talking about health in general, and maybe I don't know them too well yet. The health assessment is great.
Interesting. Man, I'm going to try some of this stuff. All right. Well, thank you so much, John. We want to just, again, acknowledge you for your time today. Do you have any last piece of advice to everyone who's going to watch this recording or who is live right now?
Just, looking at your slides before, you say there's ups and downs. Just make sure when you have downs, the way to get through that is to talk to your upline and come up with a plan and do things differently. I know early on in my business, I would never do the same things over and over again. If I wasn't closing people, it's because maybe I was doing something wrong and I needed to do something different, or maybe I wasn't talking to the right people. There's the system that we have with USANA, the products, is amazing. And if things aren't going your way, you got to look at how you're building the business. You got to look at how you're developing. I always thought, well, it was me that was the problem. And, going back to my story with my first convention, I learned something big about myself. I wasn't as confident as I thought about everything. And that really changed for me. So just be consistent. If this is a business where you want to earn some pretty good income, make sure you're building this business consistently every day, and continue to develop and continue to work with your team.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it, John. Let's go ahead and unmute the lines and everyone say, thank you, John. Have an awesome day and God bless.
Thanks, everybody. Nice to meet you.
Thank you,
Take-
John.
Thank you,
Have a
John.
good day.
Have an awesome day.
Bye, you too.
God bless.
God bless you.
God.
Bye.